squad is in the house.
Yeah, it's party time.
All right now, baby, all right. 60 minutes, falls out. Let's open up the whole can of kick ass and kill them all. Let the paramedics sort them out. Raise up Bear Claw Stingers. Ready?
Yo, Adam, what's up, man?
Yo, what up? What up?
College football rankings are in for the playoff picture. You don't seem too happy with that.
Yeah, I have a few things to say about that. I'm not. This is no good. It's no good.
The coalition isn't a friend of the working man.
No, man. They're stomping on the little guy again, man. I'm not feeling this at all. I had a feeling by seeing certain things that they might be like this, but like, because we've been talking about this throughout the season and beginning of season. All right, first thing is first. The CFP rankings came out this week, and obviously, I'm always going to have some issues with a few things, but I wasn't really feeling this at all. There was a couple things that were legit, but this is that bullshit.
What was the main one that set you off, though?
Cincinnati at number 6.
And what's their record?
8-0.
And they're at number 6.
Yeah, and there's a few other undefeated teams that are not where they're supposed to be. But this whole it's twofold, threefold. What I don't like about this. First of all, Alabama, number 2, 7-1. So nowadays, what they're trying to say is a loss doesn't really matter. Losing's okay. Losing's all right. Alabama, you lost to Texas A&M. So no worries.
It's okay, Billy. You're still a winner.
Yeah. It's like, don't worry. You're Alabama. Your brand is powerful enough where you could take a loss where these other teams, they can't lose. But, hey, you lost. No big deal. We love your brand.
We love all the viewership. That's what they like. Their corporate sponsors and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I understand Alabama, what they've been doing in the Saban era, but, you can't give so much of that. First of all, the SEC in general hasn't been as dominant this year over, some of these other conferences. I know, especially not the Big Ten, but they don't have a big of a gap against the Pac-12 and the ACC as the sports media likes to put out. They like to put it out there. The SEC is just so much better than everybody. And then the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the ACC are not that on that level. But then if they're not on that level, then why do you put them over the American Conference, who's a group of 5, if they're not even on that level? So it's basically like an SEC dominance type of, and then you got the Big Ten right behind them.
It's almost like the boxing promotions in a way.
Yeah.
They're all playing favorites, and they want to keep their belts with their conferences and everything.
Yeah, the SEC bias is strong. The Alabama bias is strong. Excuse me, but number 2, you lost to Texas A&M. And you know what? Texas A&M had just lost 2 in a row, and they beat Alabama. How are you number 2? There was a struggle at Florida, and then that's a tough place to play at the Swamp. They didn't look great in that game. They had a couple of weird games. They have some good wins, but that loss to Texas A&M, who hasn't looked really that good this season until maybe recently, after but you lost. There's teams that are undefeated that look great that have to be ahead of Bama. Cincinnati cannot be at number 6. This is ridiculous. They have to be in the top 4. And if you got to put them over Michigan State and Oregon, who's a one-loss team in the Pac-12, you have to put Cincinnati ahead. Cincinnati has a better win than Alabama does. Cincinnati won at Notre Dame. Where's Alabama's win like that? They don't have one. They went to Texas A&M, their main road game, and they lost. Okay? They lost.
Oh!
You lost. Cincinnati didn't lose. They went to Notre Dame and won. You know what I'm saying? So how is this, number 6? And Ohio State, you lost at home too. And you're not number 5 over Cincinnati. They're another team. You better be at least at 5. But honestly, I'd drop you down. You lost 2 at home to Oregon. So now Oregon has a loss. They lost at Stanford, who's kind of in that mid-range Pac-12, kind of like, where Texas A&M is a little bit above the mid-range of the SEC. They're kind of mid-rangey. Stanford too, but at least Oregon lost on the road at Stanford. Ohio State, you lost at home. Out. And Ohio State hasn't even played the teams they played and they beat Indiana. Cincinnati beat Indiana when Indiana had their quarterback and was at full strength. Ohio State beat a banged up Indiana team. They beat Maryland, who's been fading. Rutgers, who's been fading, who's terrible. You didn't beat anybody. They beat Tulsa and didn't look good in that game against Tulsa, who's in Cincinnati's conference. Who Cincinnati, I think, smacked them. So where is this difference between like the Ohio State is so much better in conference than the Cincinnati? Where is the proof of that this season? When in Cincinnati's conference, a team struggling like Memphis, right? Struggling in Cincinnati's conference, they beat Mississippi State from the SEC, which is one of Alabama's better wins against Mississippi State. But Memphis from Cincinnati's conference beat them too. So where is this big difference between the level of competition when you got games like that? The SEC has losses. Look, Tennessee went to at home lost to Pitt in the ACC. So if that's the case, why is Wake Forest so low at number 10? Are they an undefeated ACC team? I don't know. There's no proof why that should be like that. Wake Forest is number 9. An undefeated ACC team is number 9. Meanwhile, if it was Clemson, they'd be definitely in that top 4. They'd be in the top 2 if they were undefeated. Maybe number 1 because they would have had beaten Georgia if they were undefeated.
I wish one of your guys had children so I could kick them in their fucking head or stomp on it.
Exactly. Exactly. But honestly, Ed, to me, Cincinnati's the real number 2. They got a big win at Notre Dame. They came in highly ranked this year. They were in the top 10 in the beginning of the season. So where's the upward mobility? Like they had a great year last year. So basically the motto's been like for these group of 5 teams that are trying to break into playoff, you have to have not only that year be undefeated and great, you have to have previous years of being great. So you start the season in the top 10 or high in the rankings.
So is that why Cincinnati's ranked so low? Because they don't have the history?
No, but they do, though. They started the season in the top 10. That's why I don't understand this. Because remember, that's why Cincinnati was the hope. Because they started the season in the top 10. They were great last year. They were good the year before. And they came in. Dude, they played Georgia in the bowl game last year. Georgia, the one thing I'm not mad at is Georgia at number 1. That's the one thing I'm not mad. Georgia is number 1 for sure.
Yo, dog.
Yeah, the dogs, baby. Like their defense might be the best defense in college football history this year.
What?
I'm serious. Yo, and our boy Mike is here in the back chilling.
White Mike. The pride of the New York Jets. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Mike?
Mike's friend of the working man.
Let's go, Brandon.
Give it, let's go, Brandon.
Fucking nursing home Joe. Put him in a fucking home. The mutt.
Yeah, this looks like a CFP rankings like Joe Biden did this. This is like
it's a huge conspiracy. That's where it goes to. It goes all the way to the top. Past Joe Biden to the Vatican.
Yeah. Shit.
So wait, you're not looking at the AP one?
No, I'm looking at the CFP rankings.
The CFP rankings. And what are the AP rankings?
So the CFP,
how different are they?
Well, let me give out for the listeners the CFP rankings. Georgia's number 1. They got Alabama at number 2. Michigan State 8-0, number 3. Oregon number 4. So that'd be the playoff right now. They're 7-1. Now number 5 is Ohio State, also 7-1. But Cincinnati 6 at 8-0 with a strong schedule, came in ranked into the season. So it's not like they came out of nowhere. They were in the top 10 in the beginning of the season in all the polls. After Cincinnati, got Michigan at number 7. See, this is where they went crazy again, too. Michigan's number 7 at 7-1. But then you got undefeated Oklahoma 9-0 at 8 and Wake Forest 8-0 at 9. Now, and it also doesn't make sense because you got Notre Dame at 10 at 7-1, which I see that I would put. That's one other team. I have Notre Dame at like 10 or 9. They deserve to be there. Cincinnati beat Notre Dame in their home field by more than a touchdown, and they're not in the top 4. They're undefeated. You got to give me where is the logic here? with that. Mind you, Cincinnati played Georgia in the bowl game last year, the last game of the season in the bowl game. Georgia, number one team, and played them to the fight. Like, it went down to the wire. And Cincinnati had 2 players get ejected for targeting in that game, and they had the lead early in the game. So Cincinnati's game. You know what I'm saying? Cincinnati's legit. They're not some team that just came out of nowhere and they're winning the games. Like, this is a legit team. That's disrespectful. And Oklahoma, to me, got disrespected too in number 8, 9-0. I know they haven't been blowing teams out, maybe that people think they should have. Like, they've had big wins in the past and the games have been closer than most people think. Like, the spreads, they haven't really covered too many spreads. I get that. And we talk about that on here. We talk about the spread, the lines, and the handicapping of the games. Oklahoma hasn't covered many of their big spreads, but they won all their games. And that's really what counts. The spread, that's for us. But the bottom line is Oklahoma's 9-0. How are they number 8 in the CFP rankings? Where is that coming from? Like, you have to respect what we're talking about here. Is you have to respect the O. Respect the O. You're undefeated. People don't understand. The sports theory we're going to talk about today is the art of undefeated. There is something to being undefeated. One loss is like where you can regroup, refresh, learn. But you lost, and then you see teams. A good team will usually, after a loss, come back better, stronger, and more reinvigorated after a loss. So it's kind of like a rejuvenator. Where the winning is tough to do that. So that's why there is no rejuvenation. You're winning, you're masking issues, but you're winning. So there's no with that hunger from a loss where you're pissed off. So that's why winning it's hard no matter what conference you're in to stay undefeated. There's a art that's unexplained to that where it's tough, So that's why in reality you really have to give appreciation and the higher ranking to the undefeated team. They're doing something that's harder. I understand that not all the conferences are the same. College football, the schedules, teams play different schedules. But, a loss got to bring you down because in a way it brings you up. Like, it allows you to feel that burn.
Yeah.
So you can
feel the burn, regroup, watch tape.
Yeah, and get
figure it out.
Yeah.
It's a stoic approach to victory.
Yeah. When you win, you kind of have to conjure up a lot of that stuff on your own. It's harder to keep. That's why it's harder to keep winning. Because teams that lose, they want to beat you. They want to bring you down. So that's why you have to respect Cincinnati. Not every game's going to be a blowout, but 8-0 is a big thing. Same thing. Michigan State at number 3 is kind of where they should be. But to me, even let's look at Cincinnati versus Michigan State. Michigan State's number 3, they're undefeated. Cincinnati's number 6, they're undefeated. Okay? Cincinnati played Indiana and Michigan State played Indiana, right? Both in Indiana. Cincinnati played the better version with their starting quarterback and beat them better than Michigan State beat them. And Indiana didn't have their starting quarterback for that game, and it was closer than the Cincinnati game. So where is the idea where Cincinnati should be behind Michigan State? Cincinnati beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. Michigan State beat Michigan at home. Both good wins, but to go into Notre Dame, to me, is more impressive. Which, people know that.
Yeah, so, in their house.
Yeah, they beat him Notre Dame.
It's fucking that's Grandpa's favorite team.
Yeah, they beat Grandpa's favorite team in the fucking, what do they call Notre Dame? The fucking...
Fighting Irish.
Yeah, the Fighting... They call their stadium something. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, they won there. They touched that rock when they ran out. Notre Dame's got...
Play like a champion.
Yeah, like Rudy. Remember Rudy? Yeah, it's fucking Rudy touching the rock. Cincinnati touched the rock that day in Notre Dame. Plus, I could look at this whole thing, this whole top 25, and this is how they did Cincinnati dirty, which I don't appreciate. They kept Houston and SMU, 2 one-loss teams in the American, having strong years. They kept them out of the top 25. Whoa! They got 3-loss Wisconsin at 21, 3-loss Mississippi State at 17. That's how you know that they had to slurp Alabama, because Alabama, one of their big wins against Mississippi State, and Mississippi State's a 3-loss team. They should not be number 17 in the country. They have a couple of nice wins, but they also, they lost to Memphis, the doormat in Cincinnati's conference, by the way, this year. Mississippi State. I see it number 7. They lost to Memphis. Memphis is supposed to be is the doormat in Cincinnati's conference, which is supposed to be some weak conference. Then how did they beat Mississippi State? Because they've been getting their ass whooped in the American Conference, Memphis. But supposedly Cincinnati's conference is not that good. But Memphis getting their ass whipped in there. But they beat Mississippi State though. So tell me about so that's where you know it's bullshit. They're keeping these fucking group of 5 teams down, and it's kind of symbolic of them keeping the working man down. That's the elites trying to stay on top type of shit. They're not letting the group of 5 teams in the fucking door. If they're not going to let Cincinnati in the door this year, who they going to let in? Who they going to let in?
UCF.
UCF, it's good that you brought... Oh, the house that Rockney built. Nice. Mike White over here with the assist. He just threw a touchdown pass to me. You know what I'm saying? I just caught a bomb from Mike White.
That's the name of the Notre Dame stadium,
yeah,
right?
the fucking house that Rockney built. Mike White with the touchdown pass.
Career high. Out of nowhere.
One-handed grab by me. Back of the end zone. Got both feet in, not just one.
Jets play tomorrow night.
Let's get it.
See if we repeat.
Plus 10.5.
It's repeat.
Take White Mike plus 10.5.
Stupid fucking game.
Yeah, so they kept SMU and Houston out of the top 25. That's how they do it. And then
let me hear this theory. You think that this is all just an elitist move to kind of symbolize having their foot on the working man's neck?
Yeah. Yeah, they're basically telling you, Alabama, we're putting them at the top. We don't give a shit.
Roll Tide all fucking day.
Number 2. They lost, bro. Get out.
They're marketable.
They haven't even played LSU or Auburn yet, which is their top rivals. You know, they beat Tennessee, which was a pretty decent team, but their game was close. They pulled away in the fourth quarter. They made the score look a lot better than the game was. That game was 31-24 in the fourth quarter. That wasn't a blowout. The game was tight. And they scored a couple of bullshit touchdowns late to make the score look good. Ole Miss was a nice win. But besides that, they beat Mississippi State pretty bad, but the Mississippi State shouldn't even be in the top 25. And I'm a fan of theirs. They have 3 losses, and they lost one of their losses to Memphis. You know, they do have some good wins. They beat NC State, they beat Texas A&M, and now they beat Kentucky. So maybe I can see why. But I think Kentucky's another fake team. I think people think Kentucky, they're at number 18 with 2 losses. They'll get their ass whooped by a good team.
Fuck them!
Kentucky will get that ass whooped from a good team. You can see it when they play because they can't really score like that. That's why they lost to Mississippi State, who's playing better. Kentucky's going to lose a couple more games. They're not legit. I'm looking at here. Auburn's been shaky. Auburn at number 13, the SEC. They almost lost to Georgia State out of the Sun Belt at home. They were down by 4 points with under a minute left in that game to Georgia State, a mediocre team in the Sun Belt. So they did not look good in that game. Georgia State let them off the hook in that game. And that was when your man Smoke Monday returned a pick 6 to end the game.
Who?
Smoke Monday.
Who?
Smoke Monday.
Who?
Smoke Wednesday.
It is Wednesday.
Yeah. So it's like I'm looking at this.
Pass the bone,
Pass
God.
the bone, kid.
Yo, God.
Yo, God. Why the Mormons at BYU only at 15? Well, I'll tell you why.
What's the math, son?
Today's mathematics. Brigham Young, BYU, grandfather to Steve Young, ICU.
Oh!
Brigham Young University. Steve Young's grandfather is Brigham Young, BYU.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yo, I knew Steve Young was an OG, bro.
Yeah.
He always was.
His grandfather is actually Brigham Young.
They named the fucking university after Steve Young's father.
Yeah, grandfather.
Yeah. Jesus.
That's real talk. That's real
now,
facts.
think about that, right? Think about the elitism of the whole organization and how they want to push those certain
Bloodlines.
programs.
Yeah, but
the fraternities.
But think about the bloodline.
Yeah, think about that. Young.
Brigham Young is a fucking then BYU. People don't realize that's Brigham Young University. Who the hell's Brigham Young?
Fucking
Some
Steve
guy-
Young's grandfather.
Yeah, who's definitely a bloodline. Because you don't have a university named after you if you ain't a somebody.
What degree is he?
I don't know. Oh, 33rd, 33.7 degree.
He received the light.
Yeah, he received the light, bro. That's why he started the whole Mormon joint as an offshoot of something. I don't know.
It's a vast tapestry.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
BYU. But you know what's crazy about BYU? I like the way they play football. Like they play their style of football. They're one of the first teams I remember in the 80s that had like a pro passing attack in college. Like they always had good quarterbacks, good passing games. They actually won. They're the only group of 5 team to ever win a national championship in the modern era. BYU, 1984. With Robbie Bosco, I think, was the quarterback. But the 2 quarterbacks before Bosco, they had good was Jim McMahon and Steve Young. BYU's at 15, a 2-loss team. They're a very good team this year. And speaking of BYU, we did a podcast on SoundCloud last year. It was the middle of the season, and I was talking about how I was talking about how this kid Zach Wilson, I like him for the pros, and then he ends up getting drafted. And at the time when we did the podcast, Zach Wilson wasn't even in the first round on anybody's board. He was kind of just a guy they were figuring out. Yeah, I talk about it on the podcast. We listen to it. I'll be like, yo, this Zach. It was after they beat the crap out of Boise State. I was like, yo, this Zach Wilson. I know who he is. He's nice. They look good. So BYU's another team. They've been playing some good football. They're 15. Another, I see here, yeah, like I don't like Oklahoma and Wake Forest. Like to me, Cincinnati is 2. Michigan State's 3. Michigan State, they have good wins. Oregon's schedule is not so much better where they should be ahead of an Oklahoma. Like Oregon, besides the Ohio State win, they had a nice win at UCLA, but they don't really have any other great wins besides that. They had Fresno's looking like a good win for them now. At the time, Fresno's playing well. They beat by Fresno by 7 at home. So Oregon, I see them at number 5, but like Michigan, Cincinnati 2, and in the AP poll, which everyone knows, the OG college football poll, the AP poll is like the original one. Cincinnati's at number 2. So the AP press, the writers, they know what's up. Cincinnati's at 2. There's 6 here. Cincinnati to me is at 2.
So I don't mind. Why isn't the AP poll still the standard though? That's what I don't understand.
Because they went to the BCS system. I think I don't know why it's not. It should be part of some kind of thing where their vote is like it used to be in college football. Originally, was the AP poll was the number 1, and they had the UPI, the United Press UPI, whatever it was, and those were the 2 main polls. But the AP poll always had top credential because, like the AP in American society,
yeah,
is
the
like
Associated Press. That's like a standard and everything almost.
Yeah. So let's look at their poll and compare. So the AP has Cincinnati at 2, but they still got Alabama at number 3, which is better. At least they showed Cincinnati respect, and they got Oklahoma at number 4. They're at like number 8 in the college football. They got Oklahoma at 4, Michigan State at 5. See, I can dig the AP poll. They give Alabama some extra love. Alabama's the only 1-loss team in the top 5 in the AP. They're at number 3. The rest is the top 5 is all undefeated teams. That I can dig. Then you got Wake Forest still down at 10. So you got Ohio State, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Michigan ahead of Wake. Wake's undefeated. They over 1 loss. And another thing in the AP poll I don't get is why is Ohio State ahead of Oregon? Oregon beat Ohio State head to head. Like let's go back to where head to head means something. Even with the Oregon beat Ohio State in the shoe in Columbus, in Ohio State's home field. What more can you do? What more do you want? Let that game count for something. Stop taking teams' wins and not letting it count. I can see if Oregon lost twice, then yeah, but Oregon beat Ohio State. Period. We got lucky this year. Like those teams from different conferences like that don't usually play each other, so you don't have that thing to go by. But we do this year with Oregon beat Ohio State, so let that rock as something. Don't take the power from that game and bring it to nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's what I don't like. So in the college football playoff poll, I like Oregon's okay in that 4 or 5 spot, but it's got to be Cincy 2, Michigan State and Oklahoma, you can argue that. Who should be ahead of who at 3 and 4? Like Michigan State, you want to put them at 3? Okay. You want to put Oklahoma at 3? Michigan State at 4? Either way, let's let the undefeateds have their moment. Let that mean something here. Even Wake Forest. I'd put Wake Forest ahead of Alabama right now. You could argue with that. You could talk about that. Or Wake Forest didn't play anybody. But they did play teams. You have to respect these conferences. Wake Forest is undefeated. They could be ahead of Oklahoma. I could have Alabama. I could have Alabama at 6 or 7 right here. Let's go Georgia, Cincinnati, Michigan State at 3, Oklahoma number 4, Wake Forest number 5. Then we could go to the one-loss teams. You want to put Alabama at 6? Okay. They'll be the best out of the one-loss teams. Keep it simple. Alabama, 6. Then who you want second or one-loss team? Oregon. They beat Ohio State. So we're going Oregon, number 7. Ohio State. Who do you want, Ohio State or Michigan? Well, I could see why you'd say Ohio State. Even though, to me, Michigan played Washington in the non-conference. That's a good win. Michigan also beat Wisconsin. Ohio State, I don't think, plays Wisconsin. That's a good win. Michigan beat them in Wisconsin. But I actually put Notre Dame ahead of Michigan and Ohio State. I'll put Notre Dame at 8. And then I'll put Ohio State and Michigan 9 to 10, whatever you want. But then let's start with the one-loss teams. We're going to hold Oklahoma State and Baylor. You got their one-loss teams also. You got to fit them in there. So we could put those one-loss teams whenever kind of way you want, because those things are going to iron out. But let's not put. Well, they have it. They do have it right. Where Baylor's number 12 with a 1 loss. Then they start the 2 loss teams: Auburn, Texas A&M, BYU, Mississippi. But Mississippi State's a 3 loss team. They just beat Kentucky, but Kentucky only has 2 losses. Mississippi State has 3. So I don't know if I'm ready to put them ahead of Kentucky. I don't mind it. They kind of put it on them, but you could argue any of that stuff. But they really shouldn't be ahead of 2 loss Minnesota or NC State. Then you got 3 loss Wisconsin, even though they beat Iowa. They're ahead of Iowa. We can start about that. But what I do need is SMU and Houston in the top 25 one-loss teams. And I need Utsa, who's undefeated. Yeah, they're in Conference USA. They did beat Illinois on the road. They got to be in the top 25. They're undefeated.
They're not even in the top 25.
And they're at number 16 in the AP poll.
That's fucking blasphemy.
That's called shitting on the little man. They're number 16 in the AP poll, and I think they could be a little higher. But I respect the AP put them in 16. You can't have them out of the top 25. Their vaccination percentage is low, too. 42%. 42.7% on the team only. They told the school commissioner, go fuck yourself with the vaccine mandate. Oh.
Where'd you learn that language?
Oh.
Pulling Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, man, this Aaron Rodgers shit is great today.
I'm immunized. The goon. I fuck with Aaron Rodgers.
Me too.
Son.
He's like my favorite quarterback now after this.
Yeah, kind of, right?
Yeah.
I'd lick his sack.
Oh.
Mike.
Oh. White Mike. Coming in hot on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Are they playing the Lions?
They're playing the Colts. I'm betting White Mike fucking 500 straight on White.
Yo, you heard about that
Jets.
dude who's got that ill bet?
Yeah.
On Mike White's performance.
Yeah, he had a bet.
Something?
Yeah, he bet on that Mike White would have the most yards passing this past week, and he did in the NFL. His first NFL start, and the guy had the most passing yards in the whole fucking.
What did he clear, like $100K?
Yeah.
Off that bet or something? Yeah, that's sick.
But who would bet $1,000 on that?
Somebody with a lot of money.
Yeah, and a crazy brain. Like, I wouldn't have even thought of that. Like, whoa. Like
fucking time traveler.
Yeah, that's what it is.
He's a remote viewer or some shit.
Yeah, right?
Shit, I wish I could remote view. You're fucking making money every weekend on these games.
That's crazy, bro. Where you can look back, kind of? Is that what remote viewing is?
Nah, it's really just looking. You go into a meditative state and you can see things in another place.
In that dimension they come
but not
to,
in the
right?
future. It's basically like what's going on now. I don't know. I don't know about any of that shit. I'm not in the CIA. I'm not one of the men who stare at goats.
But yeah, that's where college football.
He beat me good.
College football is picking branding right now. Ohio State, highly ranked brand. Alabama brand.
That's what it's all about, bro. Everywhere you turn, there's a fucking advertisement. You cannot escape advertising.
Yeah.
So where do you think their loyalty is going to be when they rank these fuckers?
Yeah.
It's good viewership.
Yeah.
Viewership.
People they want Alabama in the playoffs.
Of course they do. They got a huge brand. You know how much merch they sell? That Roll Tide shit?
Yeah.
That shit is heavy, bro. It holds weight.
That Roll Tide shit is,
Yeah,
is
dude.
heavy. It's heavy. Well, let's talk about one thing real quick, too, about Georgia at number 1. Georgia, no one has an
Dogs!
issue with the Dogs at number 1.
Hey, yo!
This team in 8 games, 8-0, in a tough, they played tough teams, SEC schedule. They played at Clemson in the non-conference. They've given up 53 points in 8 games.
Uh-huh.
Dude, that's less than 7 points a game.
What? It's the dog. Know what I mean?
Dude, they've given up 16 points in the first half in 8 games.
That's insane.
And you know what else? So out of those 53 points, I think they have 3 garbage time touchdowns they've given up to. Like, I'm talking about in the last 2 minutes of the game, the other team's down by a lot. And the game is over. They're just giving up a touchdown in the last 2 minutes. Just, it doesn't matter.
They didn't even cover the fucking spread.
Yeah. And even though they covered most of the spreads, they would eat. That's how much they were up. They could give up a garbage time touchdown.
Shit.
But the one game against Kentucky, they gave up that garbage time touchdown and didn't cover. That was like they've been so. I haven't seen a team this fucking dominant. Like, they shut out Arkansas. They shut out Vanderbilt. Like, they shut out, I don't know, somebody else. They shut South Carolina, held them to 6 points. But no, the most they've given up in two of the 8 games, they've given up 13 points. That's the most points they've given up in a game this season. 13 points. Couple shutouts, 7 points, 6 points. They gave up 10 points. Disgusting. They haven't given up more than 13 points. They haven't given up a touchdown. They've given up 1 touchdown in the first half this season.
That's a sick stat right
in
there.
8 games. 16 points. 1 touchdown, 3 field goals in the first half. That's it.
Where do you see them finishing the season at? Like,
Number 1, I could see them. I'm usually not so gung-ho on a favorite to win the championships. I want to see a team come from the back. But this Georgia, I'm just impressed with defense right now. I'm impressed with what Georgia's doing this year. I don't mind them running the table and just smashing everybody. I kind of can dig that because Georgia hasn't won. They've only made the playoffs once in their whole in the whole time of the college football playoff, which has been about 9 seasons. They made the playoff once, and they got to the national championship game. They beat Oklahoma in the semis. Then they played Alabama in the chip, and they blew that game. Georgia was supposed to win the chip that year. When the one year they made the playoffs, they played Bama in the title game. They blew the game. Bama won in overtime. Tua came off the bench for Jalen Hurts and won the game for Bama. People out there obviously remember that game. Georgia had that game. Georgia was right there with Bama. Kirby Smart, Georgia's coach, is a Nick Saban Alabama coach disciple. He coached under him. So there's that whole thing going on. But yeah, Georgia's defense is that it might be the best defense of all time. So yeah, I have no issue with the
dog
winning the championship this year. Like, I've always liked Georgia anyway. I remember when Hines Ward played at Georgia, Ant.
Hines Ward, how many years ago was that?
A while ago.
We're talking 2 decades, 1 decade?
Yeah, Terrell Davis played there. Running back from the Broncos.
Davis. Oh, that's Terrell Davis.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember him now.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember Georgia's always been. Herschel Walker played there. I didn't see Herschel play, but he's famous playing at Georgia. Like, he was a famous college football player. He's actually running for, what's he running for? Governor?
Yeah, no. I think
Senator?
it was like a House of Representatives.
Something like that, yeah.
Something, yeah.
Herschel Walker's running for something in Georgia.
Shit. If I was in Georgia, I'd vote for him.
Yeah,
the guy's a fucking champion.
He's a legend in the state.
Yeah. He's a legend in the sport, the sporting world. But everyone knows his name.
Yeah, he won the Heisman Trophy at Georgia, University of Georgia.
But he's running conservative, right?
Yeah, he's running on the Republican side. So
canceled.
That's interesting. Nah, you can't cancel a Heisman Trophy winner.
Well,
that's another thing.
They cancel fucking anyone they want these days.
They can try. And certain motherfuckers you can't cancel. Herschel Walker, you can't cancel him. I'm saying that. They try to cancel Reggie Bush. They try to cancel Tom. You can't cancel Tom Brady. Can't cancel.
You can't cancel greatness.
They try to cancel Tom Brady. It's not going to work. Tom Brady. 7-time Super Bowl champion. Can't cancel.
Break your fucking head. You cancel Tom Brady.
You can't cancel. You know what? They can't cancel us either, bro. So yeah,
Shit.
that's what I'm talking about tonight. These CFP rankings, they got to get fixed up, man. If Cincinnati runs the table, they've got to be in the playoff. Plus, I still feel like some of these teams are going to lose. Like Georgia could even lose. You never know. But like Bama could lose again. I feel like the Bama-Auburn game later in the season, I think the Alabama could lose again. Michigan State, they're undefeated now, but they still got to play Ohio State. So a lot of this stuff's going to shake itself out. Michigan State's got to play Penn State and Ohio State. And I don't know the rest of their schedule. And the Big Ten championship game. I feel like it's going to be the Big Ten East is always the power side of the Big Ten. But waiting for them in the Big Ten championship game, I think from the West will be Minnesota. And I think Minnesota is going to give hell to any one of those teams. Ohio State, Michigan, or Michigan State. Whoever makes it to the Big Ten title game is going to have a trap set for them with Minnesota in the Big Ten title game. I'm going to say it now. I'm going to predict Minnesota's going to the Big Ten championship game, and they're going to upset whoever they could play in the Big Ten East. Mark that down. We can get back to that.
It's on record.
It's on record.
Now it's on record.
Now it's down. I'm also going to say in the Big 12 title game, I have this feeling where right now Oklahoma's undefeated, and I feel like they're underranked. A Big 12 team should not be undefeated in number 8, especially Oklahoma, who is the brand in the Big 12. So I don't get this because I think they're trying to say it so they can keep Cincinnati down. So they'll sacrifice Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a brand. They're getting disrespected here too at number 8, undefeated. They've been playing much better with the new quarterback. They took Spencer Rattler out, who I thought was overrated, and they put this kid Caleb Williams in, and he's been playing great. So they're even playing their best football right now. So where's their number 8 ranking coming from? Like, what are they trying to set up here? Like, but I feel like Oklahoma will lose to Oklahoma State. They also got to play Baylor still. So they got 2 tough games. Like, everyone's still got tough. Like, Wake Forest is tough games coming in too. They got to play Clemson and North Carolina the next 2 weeks.
So let me ask you real quick, how often do they change these rankings? Is it weekly?
Every week.
It's weekly.
Yeah.
So now at this point in the season is when this is the first
where it starts to count. So say with teams win and lose, it changes.
It all changes.
Yeah,
Okay.
like even Baylor at 1 loss, if they still play Oklahoma State, no, they lost to Oklahoma State. They will play Oklahoma and maybe another game. Who else could they play in there? There's no other Big 12 team ranked in here. Pittsburgh's at 25. Fresno State from the group of 5's at 23. And San Diego State's at 24. I don't get it really how you're going to have San Diego State, a 1-loss team, who just lost, but SMU and Houston are out. I know San Diego State beat Utah. That's a good win. But especially SMU, they beat TCU on the road, a good Big 12 team. You know, they blew out some other teams. They just lost to Houston, who was just in the top 25 themselves. In the AP, let's see where SMU and Houston are. This is going to be important to look at. So I'm in the AP now, Ant. Let's see SMU and Houston. Houston's at number 20 in the AP. See, they're both ranked in the AP. So I'm not crazy. Houston's number 20 and SMU's number 23. So, and they're not, neither one is ranked in the fucking CFP, and that's to pull Cincinnati down because they're in that conference. And plus, Cincinnati has to play both of them. So they got 2 more strong games coming up, Cincinnati, against good teams. 1 loss Houston and 1 loss SMU. By the way, SMU's first loss was this week against Houston. On the road at Houston, where that game was crazy, and it was 37 up. SMU just scored to keep their season alive. Touchdown. Tie game, 37 up. 25 seconds left in the game. So I'm thinking overtime, SMU's got a shot to stay undefeated. Houston runs the kickoff back for a touchdown. A game-winning kickoff return to the house for Houston for the win. That place was going nuts.
Some G shit.
Yeah, it was crazy. And they were saying it right before the kickoff, y'all. The guy was like, I don't think they should kick it to Jones. I don't know if they're going to kick it to him right now. I wouldn't do it. And I'm like, they kicked it to this dude. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, let's see. And I'm like, oh, shit.
To the Baja.
This guy's going to the Baja right now. The announcer was right. Why are you kicking it to this dude? Are you crazy? He took it to the, I was like, wow, this is crazy. So that was a good football game. So SMU, they shouldn't fall out the ranks. And Houston with that win, and they've been playing well. Houston looks good. Houston might actually be able to give Cincinnati a tougher game than SMU, which I'm surprised by. But Houston looks like they got a little more athletic, a little better running game, a little more speed. Houston's dangerous. You watch Houston play. Dana Holgerson's the coach at Houston. He left West Virginia for Houston. He's got some athletes over there at Houston. I think Houston is a mad dark horse team. They got some high-level NFL-type athletes at Houston in the conference. That's what I'm saying, Cincinnati. Plus, UCF has been winning games, and Dylan Gabriel's coming back. UCF is still a monster team in the American Conference, too. And even Memphis on a down year. That's how strong the conference is. Memphis is having a down year. They beat Mississippi State. That's how good the conference is. Tulsa was good last year. They're still pretty good. They played a tough game at Ohio State, Tulsa. The American Conference, put some respect on their name. And put some respect on Oklahoma's name, too, while you're at it. The Sooners. The Sooners are undefeated at number 8. I'm called Brian Bosworth out here, man. It's disrespectful.
Oh!
Put some respect on the Bos's name.
Tell him to go home and get his fucking shine box.
Remember Bosworth from Oklahoma?
No.
Oh.
I don't. Unfortunately, I don't.
He's from back in the days. They had a 30 for 30 on him.
Boo this man.
They had a 30 for 30 on the Bos. Oh, you got to watch the Bos, and we got to look that up. Yeah,
I have all the 30 for 30s saved on the DVR.
Let's watch the Bos right now.
Let's go. Let's come back with some recap from the World Series because the Braves are fucking world champions. Freddie Free.
Whoa.
Can't cancel the Braves.
Yeah, they try to cancel the Braves, but the Braves canceled everybody else and won the World Series.
The Astros.
They canceled them. They canceled the
fucking cheaters.
They canceled the cheaters. They canceled the Dodgers. The fucking World Series champs from last year canceled them. Canceled the Brewers.
That's word to Freddie Free, son.
Yo, Frederick Free is the top of the food chain right now. NL MVP last year, World Series champion this year, free agent coming up. He's at the top of the food chain.
We're going to talk about that on the next run here, but we're going to go watch this 30 for 30.
Yeah, we're going to go watch 30 for 30 on the Bos.
Digest this beef stroganoff.
Yeah, beef stroganoff in the Bos, baby.
Got a little agita.
Peace.
Stroke me off.
Yo, White Mike.
Peace.